All right, our diseases, which are caused by viruses. I don't have coronavirus up here, but you should know. I mean, obviously, that's a virus. But coronavirus is very similar to flu viruses. I think I've showed you a picture before. These little spheres with these little spikes sort of things sticking off of them. Those are those attachment proteins that allow that virus to attach on to a cell, a host cell. And you guys are going to do a little research about coronavirus, so I won't get into it here. But you should also know that influenza, or the flu, is caused by a virus. The common cold is caused by a virus. Rhinovirus is usually the one that causes a cold. You guys remember what rhino means? From your glossopherbisect, rhino is nose, so that makes sense, rhinovirus. Okay, pink eye. I was told by an ER physician once that 95% of the cases of pink eye are viral. That every now and then you can have a bacterial pink eye, but most pink eye is caused by viruses. So, and what happens a lot of the time is somebody has a cold or the flu, they wipe their nose, and then they rub their eyes, all right? And then that virus goes to work inside of your conjunctiva, which is that tissue around your eyeball, and gets all infected and makes your eye red, and you can have nasty goop coming out of your eye, and your eye's all matted and stuck together in the morning, so it's kind of gross. Okay, herpes, which is a disease, a sexually transmitted disease. It produces sores on genitalia. We will talk about this more during the reproductive health part of health class, but herpes is a virus. And there's actually two types of herpes virus. Actually, there might be more than that, but two that I know of for sure. Herpes simplex and herpes zoster. Herpes simplex virus is the one that causes the the sexually transmitted disease, herpes, the sores on your genitalia. It's also the same one that causes cold sores on your lips and around your mouth. So that's herpes simplex. The herpes zoster virus is the one that causes chickenpox and smallpox. Okay, and it's kind of similar. Those little sores that the pustules that are made with chickenpox, really similar to the sores, genital herpes that live on genitalia with genital herpes. Measles is a disease caused by virus. You guys don't know too much about that because you probably have gotten a vaccine for measles. The MMR is measles, mumps, and rubella. Measles used to be quite a scourge. It would attack kids, and it would cause a fever and flu-like symptoms, but it could attack the nerves, your sensory nerves, so it can make kids blind and deaf and all kinds of stuff. I think deaf more than blind. Anyway, so measles is characterized by a rash, a red dot rash all over the skin. Mumps is another viral disease that you probably don't know too much about again because there is a vaccine for it and you've probably gotten it. But it invades the lymph nodes, and you have a lot of lymph nodes in your jaw and your throat, and those things will swell up, and so you get this swollen jaw, swollen neck thing going on with mumps. Rubella, also a flu-like disease that can cause blindness and stuff. It can death too. I think rubella is also known as German measles. Warts. Warts is a viral problem, skin warts. So if you get those nasty little bumps, sometimes they can be a little painful. Usually it's on your hands or somewhere. That's a virus that caused that. Hepatitis. Well, all forms of hepatitis, A, B, and C, are viral diseases. There is a vaccine for those as well. Ebola, you've heard of, a virus that came out of Western, I believe, Africa, near the Ebola River in Africa. So Ebola virus is a really bad one. It's a hemorrhagic situation, meaning it just makes you bleed everywhere. Has a really high mortality rate, so Ebola is not one you want to get. AIDS, which is acquired immune deficiency syndrome. A sexually transmitted disease, also transmitted by needles in people who do drugs and they don't get clean needles, they share needles. So through blood and seminal fluid and vaginal fluid, AIDS is transmitted. Rabies is another interesting virus. I'm going to tell you a bit about rabies because I'm going to have you do a little presentation about one of these, and I'm going to use the rabies to show you what I'd like your presentation to look like. Rabies is an interesting virus, and because people don't often get it, people get a little lax about it, but believe me, rabies is out there. In fact, it's estimated that 50% of wild skunks carry the rabies virus. Now, we don't get too close to skunks, but rabies is a virus that lives in all mammals. So anyway, I'll tell you about rabies with my little presentation. Polio is another one. We've talked about polio before, and I've got a pretty good slideshow for polio. It basically causes atrophy of the muscles. And if you get it bad enough, it causes atrophy of your breathing muscles, and it can kill you. But anyway, yeah, so that's polio. We'll talk about that. I have a presentation. And there are a few types of cancers that are caused by viruses. Okay, for instance, hepatitis B is a virus that will make you sick and give you liver failure, but you have it long enough and you live with it long enough, it can also cause liver cancer. So it will invade your cells and cause them to make tumors. Okay, another viral cancer is cervical cancer. This is for girls. You have cancer of the cervix, which can kill you. But boys, you can also have as well. Human papillomavirus, or HPV, is a virus that causes genital warts. And we'll probably talk about that a little more in health during the human reproductive unit. And so that's really painful and gross and kind of horrible for boys and girls to have men and women to have genital warts, but it's actually deadly if you get cervical cancer. Any cancer can kill you. Cervical cancer is fairly treatable, but you have to catch it. So there are viruses which cause cancer, and like I said, I'm going to give you a little project where you will be, my arrow. Oh, come on, arrow. Okay, I'll just leave it down there. Okay, so these are diseases caused by viruses.